I think one of the most common misleading questions in Rise of Kingdom is also one of the most common. Is a 1 to 2 good trait? Question mark. And every time I see this question, I feel like we're incidentally talking about the wrong things. Because a few days ago, I saw somebody ask exactly that. They wanted to know if trading one troop for 2 troops was considered good. And the answer they got was basically, it depends, which is the answer everybody hates. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that maybe it depends is actually a correct answer. Because what if the trade isn't the important part? What if the fight is? And I'm going to share with you one personal story that I have about the reports where I thought I trade well, but later I realized the fight is basically for nothing. And it was actually with my tier 3. I was doing some fightings, and something that I actually noticed was, I was doing good. Right now I don't have report, but in the reports we was having, maybe I can actually find where I actually have this report. But yeah, the point is, I was surprised that I was training like 1 to 3, not like 1 to 2, 1 to 3. In same time, it was obvious with the visuals that I was having Minamoto and Cao Cao, and the enemy was having Sun Tzu and some other hero. I don't think it was actually even Cao Cao. So when I checked out the report, I saw that I was trading very good. But when I go more deep in the report, I was seeing that I was actually hitting tier 1 troops, and same time I'm tier 3. But the first look I saw over the report is I'm trading 1 to 3. So some players are asking is 1 to 2 actually a good trade? But they forget that there is a specific condition, different tier, different hero development, different context around the hero, like gear and all the things that this game provide and boost for one legion can be completely different from the enemy. So you can trade 1 to 2, but tomorrow somebody else can trade 1 to 2 in his favor. So this is one of the personal stories that I have where I was thinking, oh my god, my legion is extra strong, but in the same time, when I go a little more in deep over the report, I saw that I was actually hitting very weak troops. And that's when I start looking at some of my own reports differently, because for a long time I think I measure fights exactly like most players do. Good report, bad report, positive trade, negative trade, simple. But then I start noticing something strange. And some of my worst reports came from great decisions. That shouldn't happen, right? If the reports tell the whole story, then good reports should always mean good decisions. But they don't. And I really have real experience with that. Positive reports still feel like a lose after the fight end. Obviously, it's not exactly here, but from the game mechanic I see, it can also happen here. And this is, imagine somebody who is having very solid Minamoto and Cao Cao. But in the same time, they don't want to spend over these heroes, and they go with tier 1 or tier 2 troops, and they do massive damage on my legion. My traits are positive, but in the same time the troops he's using, the tier he's using is like 1 or 2 times lower from mine, and he have like 2 times or maybe 3 times less bills in the hospital from me. But in the same time, I have to pay more for healing, he have to pay less, but my report is positive and his report is negative. I mean, this is also one of the things that I have real experience when somebody's just, charging me with some good heroes, good technology behind, and, I get good report, but in the same time, he get less smaller bill for the hospital. Then things got interesting because I started paying attention to why fights were happening. Not what the report looked like afterward, why the fight happened at the first place. And suddenly a lot of bad traits stopped looking bad. Imagine you're fighting for the pass, or a flag, or a fort, or some objective that your kingdom absolutely needs. You take a negative trait. You lose resources, you lose troops, you lose efficiency. But your kingdom gets the objective. Was that a bad trait? I don't think so. And that's where I think many players are making a mistake. They mismeasuring the fights, not the results. Then I noticed the opposite happens too. And honestly, this one surprised me even more. I've been seeing players get amazing trades, amazing reports, amazing kill numbers, and they were completely irrelevant. Because where they were farming positive trades, someone on the map, the important fight was happening somewhere else. They won the report, they lose the war. And that's much bigger problem. And there is a lot of players like this. There is a lot of players like this who is just chasing the kill points, who is chasing the reports. And sometimes when you're in very bad position, you have to make a sacrifice for your kingdom so the kingdom take the objective. And the more people happen to be around the map trying to chase this guy or that guy just to get some positive traits, just to get some kill points, and at the same time you and few people are trying to get the kingdom objectives. And this is a very frustrating thing. It happened a lot because, people are here just to play for fun. I mean, there's still people, when you build community around your kingdom, everybody's going to try to achieve the objectives, but there is still always going to be people who is just going to chase the reports and not helping. And when others are making negative reports, these dudes are going to have positive reports. And yeah, it's just my personal experience about chasing kills or good reports instead of being where the kingdom needs the person. Then I start wondering if the reports creates a false signal, because reports are easy to measure. Objectives are harder. Traits ratios are easy. Strategic value is harder. So it's completely normal to see, the report and how to measure this report, how many ratio you do, 1 to 2, 1 to 3. But the strategic value, the objectives, this is something hard to be seen because you don't have the full context. You just have one report there. And whether something is easy to measure, players tend to obsess over it. I've been done it. Most players have done it because numbers feel objective, but strategy games are rarely that simple. And I'm going to share with you my personal opinion over why players love simple metrics even when they hide important context. Well, here is the thing. With the metrics, some people are obsessed over their accounts. The majority of the cases happen with this type of people who obsess over their accounts. And those people are like checking how the things are going with their reports. Is their reports improve? Is their reports don't improve? Are they going to get good traits? Are they not going to? They're trying with the idea, I'm learning, which is completely fine. Everybody learned here. But at one point, everybody have to gather together and follow the kingdom objectives. So at the end of the day, our kingdom actually to win at the end of the day. But yeah, I have seen this over and over, and the players love simple metrics just because they can see it. They can see it. And if they don't have that much confidence or trust in the leadership, it's even going to push them even more to just go and follow the reports from the kingdom objective at the end of the day. Then I remember something I learned during the open field fightings. Sometimes the strongest decision is avoiding a fight entirely. And that sounds ridiculous because we're playing a war game after all, we're supposed to fight, right? But if you're if you're taking a fight that doesn't matter, if you're burning healing speed ups for no reason, if you're losing resources for no objective, then what exactly are you winning? That's when I realized something. The real resource isn't troops. The real resource is opportunities. Every fight costs something. The real question is whether the outcome was worth the costing. Then things get even more interesting because I start thinking about free-to-play players. A well and free-to-play player should not evaluate traits the same way. A well can recover differently, a well can absorb losses differently, a well can afford mistakes differently. But a free-to-play player, even healing bill matter. Even speed up matter, every bat engagement matter, which means context matter even more. The exact same train can be brilliant for one account and terrible for another. And that's where I think the original question falls apart. Is 1 to 2 trade good? Maybe, maybe not. What was the objective? What did it accomplish? What resource did it cost? Could those resources have created more value somewhere else? Those questions are far more interesting because they force you to think like a strategist instead of statistic. And honestly, I think that's the difference between improving and staying stuck. Most players evaluate what happened. Strong players evaluate whether the decision was worth it. Those are not same things. And the more I play strategy games, the more I think decision matter more than the reports. Because reports only tell you what happened. They don't tell you whether it should have happened. And one of my personal story that I have for decision that look wrong in the report and turn out to be correct play, and this is not only for me, this is for many players. This is the front lines. This is the front lines and the first legions that enter in the engagement. Why is that? It's just because you're going to be the first target, but somebody else have to be the first target. So you can build tanky legions. So your report is not going to look crazy good just because you're frontline, and the moment the fight starts, there is like couple legions attacking you. So from there, you may not actually have the best report from somebody who is hitting one legion. This legion is doing some counterattack, obviously, but at the same time, the legion is doing also AoE damage. So you're receiving counterattack from one legion that is hitting other target, but at the same time you're doing AoE to the rest of the legions on the battlefield till somebody sacrificing himself to be the target in this moment right there. So when somebody asks me, is 1 to 2 trade good? I honestly don't think that's the right question. I think the better question is, if I could go back and take that fight again, knowing the outcome, would I still do it? Because if the answer is yes, then maybe the report wasn't the thing that mattered. Maybe the decision was. And I think a lot of players are leaving value on the battlefield because they are measuring the wrong things. So I'm curious, what's a fight you would take that looked terrible in the report but ended up helping your kingdom anyway? Or maybe the opposite, a report that looked amazing but accomplished absolutely nothing. Anyway, guys, this is going to be for this video. Huge thank you to all channel members for supporting the channel. And if you do like to support the channel as well, you can check out the join button below. Members get early access to videos, exclusive content, member shoutouts, and Warworld members can reach out to me directly for strategy and account advices. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.